We're good.
Okay.
And I'm not getting my eye picture.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay. I'm calling to order the March 25th, 2021 special Tipp City Board of Education, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one
Nation under God.
with liberty and justice for all.
Can't get this up.
It's okay. We have a little bit of a delay. Go ahead and call the attendance date.
President Dunaway,
Here.
Vice President Zakor,
She's on mute.
Here.
thank you, Ann.
Here.
Mrs. Dahl,
Here.
Mr. Patrick,
Here.
Mrs. Heatherly.
Here.
All present accounted for, Madam President. There is a quorum this evening.
Okay, great. Looking for a motion and a second for the approval of the agenda.
I move.
I'll second. Moved and seconded by Mrs. Zakor and Mrs. Dunaway.
Is the agenda new business?
That's all we have.
But I mean, is that the agenda? Because doesn't it say agenda?
Oh, when we vote, we do consent agenda.
No, yeah, it's just new business. Yeah.
So
that's
we
it.
have
Business is
two
the
items.
agenda.
Yeah, we've got just two items.
Okay.
Hey, are we gonna start with executive session? I know we're expecting someone on the phone. Okay,
Nope.
okay, gotcha. All right. Okay, so motion and seconded. Mrs. Zakor, Mrs. Dunaway. Ready for the vote, Dave? Is that your only
Zakor,
question, Corinne? Okay.
yeah. Zakor,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes,
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
motion carries. New business item 2A, admission of students on a tuition basis. Looking for a motion and a second.
I'll move.
I'll second. Moved and seconded, Mr. Patry and Mrs. Heatherly. Is there any discussion?
I think if we're not going to do open enrollment, we should provide something to allow to have out-of-district students come here. I think that the tuition basis is the way to do it.
Okay, anybody else? Ann, any comment?
No.
Okay. Ready for a vote, Dave?
Okay. Patrick,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway,
No.
Zakor.
No.
Motion carries. Item 2B, Treasurer Recruitment Services Discussion. So at the last meeting, we had originally decided not to go with a consulting firm. And then at the board meeting on Monday, it came up that we should look into a consulting firm. So I did reach out to the one that the board had discussed, which was K-12. And I spoke to the contact and they cannot take on new clients right now. They're full. So then I reached out to Ohio School Board Association. They had given us a quote the same time K-12 did. And they can fit us in. And their quote is $7,500. And then also I reached out to Miami County ESC. And they just do that as a service that they provide because, we work with them. And as Mr. Stefanik said, it's materials only. So anything that we would print, but there's no charge for the facilitation, the actual interviews and that type of thing. So right now the board has to decide if we're going to do Ohio School Board Association, which is $7,500, or if we're going to do Miami County ESC.
What
So
does that mean, facilitation? There's no charge for facilitation.
Like when the other ones come here, part of that $7,500 is they come.
They coordinate.
Yeah, they go through, they plan the interviews, they provide the questions. So in other words, Miami County ESC doesn't charge for that. It's just a service that they provide.
So there's a point person.
Yeah,
By working with them, they would give us a point person, they would
Just like
coordinate
the others.
everything, organize everything.
just like
So it's not just,
K-12.
so when you say materials only, we pay for the materials or I
If
guess
we print, like if we have to print like 5 copies of,
Packets and things.
yeah, the materials that K-12 gave us that we handed out to all the superintendents, we paid for that through what we paid K-12. So
Right.
as Miami County ESC, it's our interview that they're conducting on our behalf. So we pay for any printed materials. I'm sure some schools do a fancy brochure, they're not gonna pay for that. That's the school's job to pay for that.
Right.
But it's a lot less than 7,500.
I guess I misunderstood. I thought all that they would do is give us the free materials. I didn't understand that their services included a point person who facilitates and sort of guides us as a board going through these motions.
I'm not sure they would do any active recruiting,
Right.
but yeah.
Yeah, they go through basically what K-12 did for us, best way to describe it. So anyway, I didn't want a consultant, so I'll stay out of the conversation. So Simon and Joellen and Corinne, are you leaning towards OSBA or are you leaning towards Miami County ESC since you're the three that want the consultant?
I feel like the reason I really need a felt strongly about getting a consultant was because I have no way of knowing how to vet a treasurer.
Okay.
Other than my experience with Mr. Stevens, my only way to understand how to pick a good one would be to compare them against what Mr. Stevens has done.
Sure.
And not that that's a bad thing, but I guess I want somebody to also help me understand what it is I'm looking for. Because I don't know what to look for.
So what is are you OSBA or are you Miami County?
And Miami County gives us all the material and the materials kind of lay out what we're looking for.
Yeah, he would it's the same thing. An initial meeting with the board and superintendent to develop a candidate profile, establish interview questions, and they will provide samples for us to look at. That doesn't mean we can't look at the ones that we already have, but that's, they bring it to us. And just like we do with
It's only $900.
No, they don't charge anything. The $900 was something different.
Okay.
They only charge for materials. It also includes the first round screenings, including superintendent, board, all members, or just selected members. So if they want to come in and say, here are the 5 applications and here are the people, we can do it as a board or we can designate 2 people, however we want to do that. The second round interviews include the entire board. And sometimes those interviews, if the board wishes, can include members of the leadership team, central office, we can include Dave, we can include his staff, whoever we want. So that they facilitate.
That just seems like really cheap.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
When Mr. Stefani told us that, I was.
Yeah, it's because we're a member district, and it just said that.
That's crazy.
That's one of the things, and they offer sometimes some services, and they call them consortium services. And then what happens if enough districts buy in, then they take the cost and they divide it by all the districts, and it's cheaper for everybody. So this one is just that because we participated in others, we've got some of their staff members here teaching some of our
They do work for
units
us.
and things,
Yeah.
and so some other services that they provide that if our board needs this, they'll reach out and partner with us and say they'll do that.
Are they a quick timeline or do we have?
Yeah, he said he could fit us in. The OSBA and Miami County ESC can both fit us in.
Okay, because I think that.
K-12 is out.
Yeah, like the, I get on there and I look to see if there's and there's a lot of other treasurer jobs open. Like, I feel like we have to do this.
Yeah, and also, Dave, if I'm wrong, let me know, but May is very busy for treasurers because it's 5-year forecast,
Well, yeah,
appropriations,
we've got
just the end of the year, everything.
negotiations.
It's very
going
busy.
on.
So if our interviews need to start like right after spring break. It needs to be, and my other big concern is what if we get somebody and then that district comes back and says, oh, wait a minute, no, we want you to stay. And then what if you lose that person? And then you're really into April and you're getting closer to May. So we need to get moving on this.
And they can
Right
get
after.
in Miami County for $900 and get moving on this?
It's not
No,
like.
It's not, you keep saying that.
$100.
900
Oh,
was
for nothing.
Yeah,
Why am
it's
I
just,
stuck on
you were
900?
stuck on, it was something that came up with the Montgomery County ESC.
Okay.
And I did the same thing in the
Well, I
last
Or,
meeting.
or you use a lot of materials.
Right.
Yeah.
If they're-
It could be 900 if we print a lot of stuff.
If you print and do the old
Well, if they
fashioned
send us
layouts, then
PDFs,
it's
we can
just-
print it I just.
Right, it's
I
very.
think that that's kind of like
I'm
a.
gonna ask the question differently based on what you just said, because I think we might be thinking the same thing, which is, do they assign someone to coordinate or guide us? Because I think that's what Corinne's trying to say.
Well, they don't, what do you mean by guide?
Okay, a coordinator puts things together, organizes, and sort of put the framework in mind, and then sort of gives us the agenda and helps us move through it.
Mhm.
Guidance is
This is
what I think
you
what
to do.
Corinne was saying. We only know aspects of a treasurer's job based on our interactions with our treasurer, but there's lots of things a treasurer does that we don't have a direct knowledge of. And I think that's what you were trying to say. If that's not
Well-
right, tell me. But that's what my concern is. I think there's lots of duties that a treasurer does that we need to make sure we're vetting a qualified candidate. I don't
I think
know
that
that
would
we
be-
have the expertise to do that. And so someone who guides us has that sort of experience and knowledge and knows how to help us move that through that process.
So to me, when it says initial meeting with the board and superintendent to develop a candidate profile, so that would fit into that sentence.
Yeah.
Establish interview questions, which we can ask Dave, we can ask Dave's staff, you know?
I-
So,
I've got some.
right,
I think you could Google questions. I mean,
right, so,
Right, but I thought that they're gonna help us make questions that are good for a treasurer, not just.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
There's plenty to choose.
Yeah, there's so many, so. Simon, what are you thinking as far as Miami County or OSBA?
Well, you said that you're not for getting consultant to assist on this. I'm
Well,
kind of curious as to why.
it's,
I guess I'd like to understand
it
that.
doesn't matter, it's majority rule, it's a
Why?
quorum, the three board members.
Your perception may change my opinion, and so that's why I'm asking, why, because obviously spending $7,500 of the district's money or any amount of money is not something I'd like to do. And so I'm guessing that you probably have a different understanding of what we have coming down a pipeline, or why do you think we don't need it?
I just think that hiring, everything that this outlines for us is stuff that we can do ourselves. We can meet as a board, we can develop the candidate profile, the interview questions. I mean, Dave's sitting here, Dave's been doing this job in this district for 6 years. He has 3 staff members. We can easily say to them, you know, is there something that you've always wanted or something that you wanted Dave to do differently? What is it absolutely amazing that Dave does that you would want your next treasurer to say, you have to, that really, really works for our district? Those are the kinds of things we can do as a group with Dave and his staff, you know, input from Dave's staff, whatever. And then we already have our applications that we're smart enough to go out and advertise on different venues and funnel everybody back to the Dayton Consortium. So that's all that these people are going to do is they're going to say, well, here's your applications. They're going to sit down with us and do questions, which we're going to be part of anyway. And then they're going to call people and interview them. I just think that we can do all that ourselves, but I was in the minority and I'm fine with that. It's majority rules. The
How
3 of
many-
you, I'm good.
How many applications do we have right now?
Yeah, that's,
We currently have, let's see, three are fully completed. There is another person that applied that has started their application today. Of those 4, 3 of them have a treasurer's license. 1 is recent, 2 are current sitting treasurers. But of those, one of those sitting treasurers has not finished the application yet.
But we're allowed to go into AppleTrack and because it says until filled, I believe it. But at some point we have to go in and close it.
Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying? To let people know, we're going to start interviewing after spring break or whatever we decide.
I'm not sure it's Dave's job to find a replacement for us. I think he's a great resource, but like you just said, also, it's really a busy season for him, and I imagine there's a lot of things he's trying
He
to.
already has the questions.
Well, I've got like 25 questions here.
I can, yes.
You guys, I'm more than willing to provide these. You can to review them. They pretty much cover the wide gamut of the treasurer.
Oh, sorry, Ann.
And-
yes. It's okay.
I couldn't see your
No.
hand.
No, I'll wait for Mr. Stevens. Go ahead.
Honestly, there were only 8 questions for me at my other location recently, and those are on here. And so there's plenty to develop a first and a second round if we even feel that a second round is necessary. I'm willing to help the board decide which questions they feel are good But well, I'm ready to do whatever you guys need.
Thank you, Dave. And go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I have a couple questions here. Did I understand correctly? We have 3 fully completed submitted applications, or 4?
We have 3 fully completed with a 4th that was started today.
Okay, and of those 3 completed, did I understand correctly? They all have a treasurer's license?
2 of them have a treasurer's license.
Okay, 2 of them. And I don't know really what the protocol is, or what the law may or may not dictate, but here's my concern. Is there any reason we're not looking at these 2 fully completed or 3 fully completed applicants right now? Because I'm afraid that, I mean, I understand the discussions for whether or not to bring in a vendor, but time is of essence. And all my concern is that while we're sort of navigating who we bring in and when, we could have a good candidate right now, and that candidate accepts a position in another district by the time we work out our navigation.
Exactly.
And I think we would all feel very badly about that if we discover that happened.
Yeah, and we're kind of, with next week being spring break, we have to move quickly, you know?
So does anybody know whether or not we're allowed to look at those applicants?
Yeah.
Applications right now? Well, I mean, what if we have something that's really perfect?
Yeah.
Why would we not, explore opening that up to pursue it in a very timely manner?
Because we don't have a process established of how this is going to work.
We can
A
look
map. We can do that right now.
Yeah, we can go
Create
into
that.
executive session, we can look at the resumes, that's not a problem, but what we're trying to decide, we need to move forward. So we went from no consultant to consultant, so we just need to decide if we're going to use OSBA or Miami County, so that I can reach out to them, because we're going on spring break next week, and we need to get busy as soon as we get back from spring break, to have an initial meeting to develop the candidate profile and the interview questions. Then we need to call these people to let them know we're going to start interviewing. So Corinne, original question, Miami County or OSBA for you?
I think if we only have like less, I mean, 4, do the questions that you have, Dave, do they come with a rubric?
No, these are just straight up questions that there's nothing set up. There's, like Mrs. Hadley was saying, there's not a process currently in place.
Right. So somebody needs to check the minimum qualifications. Do the candidates meet them? That's one thing before they move to the next step. Create what we like a rubric and select the questions we're going to ask. The questions should be, fairly generalized to all the expansive duties that a treasurer does. We have to agree if there's going to be a first or a second, how we're going to score them, who's the contact person to call and arrange these. So, we sort of need to put that protocol in place. I'm willing to, we can talk about that right now if you want to set that up.
Well, right now, we're trying to decide who we're using.
Okay, I go for Miami County, they're free.
Okay,
They're free.
so we've got Miami County, Corinne.
They can be timely, like if we say we
They're
need to
local.
start this.
Yeah, I said,
The first week, because that's the other thing too, is I feel like we have got to start this.
yeah,
So-
because there's 4 people sitting there that might already
Right,
take a
right.
job next week. We don't know.
Because there's other people interviewing,
Right.
a lot of other people interviewing,
And
so.
they originally told us 2 months ago, we would be lucky to get 6 to 8 candidates. So we have 4.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good.
so I'm good with Miami County.
Okay, Simon?
If Miami County is only the cost of the materials, my suggestion to the board is to use them and simultaneously still pursue these 3 completed applications. We don't need to wait for them to bring more candidates.
Mhm.
Correct. So I will reach out to Miami County ESC, let them know that we need to start this right after spring break. We'll have the initial meeting, do the candidate profile, get our questions together, and then we need to start interviewing people ASAP, like the week after spring break. because it's already been 2 weeks.
Can we now determine a date of first interviews that we're gonna hold,
Is,
and then we
yeah,
can reach out
as a
and
group,
ask
sure. And
people?
I just have to we can always cancel it,
Right,
but if we want to do that as a group, that's fine.
because we have
And
to
then I'll make
publicize
sure-
that meeting, right, Dave? Like, don't we have to?
I apologize, but if we get together as a board, it has to be another
Okay, so
special
we're gonna
meeting.
have to publicize this meeting, so I think we should, everybody grab their
Yeah,
calendars.
so we get back from spring break, that would be the week of the day after Easter, which is Monday, April 5th. So, I mean, the sooner the better, Jeremy.
Right, yeah.
Madam President,
Yes, Ian?
is there, I don't feel we came to a sort of a conclusion
Okay.
about whether or not to look at these applications even tonight.
Yeah,
I
I definitely want to look at them tonight for sure.
Okay, so
Session.
may I suggest we look at those and then come back to a date? I mean, you're saying,
Well, we can't, go ahead, Ian.
you're saying that if you go ahead and schedule with Miami County ESC, you can always change that or cancel that if necessary, if needed?
I mean, obviously, if they already have plans that night, there's nothing we can do, you know what I'm saying? But I would
Okay.
like to get started.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead with your proposed date.
Yeah, so we're looking at the week of April 5th.
Okay,
I'm available Wednesday, April 7th. Oh, no, I'm not. That's NHS ceremony, sorry.
right.
You guys can do April 5th or 6th without me? Because I'm fine
We
with
can't
that.
do the 5th, it's,
Okay,
a lot of people are still on.
can anybody,
I can do April 6th, I can do April 9th, I cannot do 7th or 8th.
I can't do the 6th, I can do the 9th, but like I said, as long as we have a quorum, I'm perfectly fine with. I trust you guys to
I
ask
can do the 6th,
questions in the candidate profile.
so there's 4 of us that can do the 6th.
And,
Yes, I'm open on the 6th and the 9th.
okay, so you guys go ahead and do it on the 6th, that's fine.
Well, wait a second, if we can do it,
Can we do the 9th instead?
Well, I hate to
yeah,
wait.
if we can have all of us, I think that's the best choice.
Well, here's the deal, next week's spring break, if we wait until the 9th, we're losing 2 weeks. We
Yeah,
have
you're
the Initial meeting, and then you're gonna do interviews, you're on your 3rd week of these people's applications already been sitting there. I feel that's way too long.
We have
yes,
4 candidates right now.
Right,
I don't want to sound silly here because I have no clue what their resumes say, but what stops us just from interviewing these people? I mean, it's not like.
nothing, I'm ready to.
We could
I
just,
want to move, I
Ready.
want to go on it.
I'm ready to interview them. I've done this for a living. It's not complicated to
The
me.
only, if we could come up with some kind of treasurer rubric that we're all gonna use, I'm gonna
But
go.
we could take the questions, Corinne, and we could have every person weight how they felt about that answer 1 through 5. And we can add it up. I mean,
Yeah,
doing
that's-
there's a lot of different ways to do a rubric.
I
a lot of
know,
different
there's good ways and bad ways.
I understand.
My concern is that we have to have an understanding of what a good answer to that question is.
Yes. So
So,
what are the minimum competencies we're trying to evaluate through the question? I think that's,
And that's what you can get from the ESC,
Right.
but they could do that
they could probably
without,
send us
without
that.
having to have
Yeah,
a
that's
meeting
what I'm
about it.
thinking.
Let's
They
do
could
it.
create that.
They could just send it to us.
I'm sure the superintendent would work with their treasurer and come up with the benchmarks.
Okay, so
I mean, to me,
we asked them to send a,
right, and then we already have the questions. We should just start interviewing right after spring break. Because we're gonna be wasting 3 weeks and they're gonna
Okay.
get jobs,
okay,
right?
yeah, we gotta, yeah.
I mean, we've already got 4 people and that's more than we thought we were gonna get just because of the time of year and the tight market right now on treasurers.
right now, we only have 2 with current treasurer licenses.
3, I'm sorry, Simon, I think it's 3.
We have 2 that are currently finished with current treasurer licenses.
3?
1 that's in process.
I thought it was 3 in one
There's
process.
3 that are done,
Right.
2 have licenses.
Gotcha,
The
okay.
one in process also has a license.
Gotcha. So hey, I'm
They
happy with
completed.
that. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
so the candidate who does not have a license, is there a minimum standard that we would expect would you use that as a, pending approval of you receiving and, having that in place by a certain timeframe?
I believe that to be a sitting treasurer, and be the treasurer of record, I believe they have to have the license.
I'm not
So,
interested in interviewing people without licenses. I'm really not.
I'm not either.
We do not have time for that.
Yeah.
Why would someone apply if they don't have the minimum qualifications, which would be a license? I guess that's what I'm wondering.
There are,
Some districts
some
will
people
accept
will
that.
apply for any position,
They'll accept it.
and, you know, it could be
Yeah.
business manager, it could be a teacher, some people will just apply even though they don't have the qualifications. So,
And this person might be like on the doorstep of
Yes.
getting the license, and
Right.
they have to put on their application, I don't have it yet.
Right.
But if you ask them and they said like, you know, I'm gonna apply by the end of June, or I'm gonna apply by 4th of July or something like that. So they might have all the preliminary work done, they just don't have it in hand.
They don't have it, they don't have experience.
I don't feel like it's appropriate for us to be considering someone without a license.
I agree, 1000%. So are we looking at interviewing then? So like, are we picking an interview date and just commit? I think we should.
February
Just be
9th
ready.
or February 9th, Friday, the 9th would be if those two candidates that have finished, or if the third finishes their application that have licenses, I say we interview them. And I think that what we do is we try to get the ESC to give us kind of the
Yes.
core competencies that we're looking for.
I agree.
We have great questions from Dave.
Yeah.
And then after that, I guess I'm not all concerned with the rubric. There's 5 of us in here. We'll figure out kind of who we like and why and articulate it.
So I'm sorry, but the week of the 5th, I can't do the 9th, I can do the 8th. Is everybody good on the 8th?
I cannot do the 8th.
Okay, we have bargaining that day, but bargaining's done it.
unless you want to just go straight in and have a marathon day.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
I'm concerned that we're waiting through next week's spring break and then the end of the following week.
You guys can do it without me. I don't care. You mean do it during spring break?
Well,
I can do
let me
next.
just, is
I can do April-
that objectionable? Can we rule that out or rule that in? Are we?
Friday, April 2nd is Good Friday.
We can't do spring break because we're not going to have anybody here to run our meetings to help us out with MIT.
Right.
I work all year.
Is that rude though to do it on Good Friday? I'm just
I
asking.
would probably
Don't do it on
take.
Friday.
Yeah, I don't think we should do it on Good Friday. It's Easter weekend.
I will say that, just a thought that popped in my head is, we can reach out, Mrs. Dunaway is going to reach out to the ESC tomorrow. They, like Mr. Stefanik said, they could start putting together a rubric for us. We can provide them with this list of questions that I have. I can give you them all as well, but we can provide that to them and they can put something together and disseminate that out to the board over spring break in email form. We can look at the applicants tonight just to see who we would like to tell the ESC, we are interested in these 2, these 3,
Sure.
and we can try to push it so that they call and schedule interviews for the 6th. If we wanted to push it that quickly, which it sounds like we do.
I think we do.
We still, just because, we still have to give them time for the applicant. We don't want to just call them up and say, hey, can you come tomorrow?
Right.
They probably would drop
So we're
everything,
saying
but,
interviews on Tuesday, April 6th, starting, you say 5:30? What time do you start?
the interviews can go,
People get off work, they're treasurers, they should get off work about 3:30, you think?
I would say if you started at
Dave's
5,
usually
5
there
o'clock?
by 1.
What was your second?
you be quiet. I would say if we started at 5 and just did 45 minutes a person, if it's the first round interview, it's not like we have to spend an hour with them.
Right.
Okay,
so
be done in
everybody's
3
good?
hours.
Tuesday, April 6th, treasurer interviews are gonna start at 5 o'clock, and I'll reach out to the ESC and see what they have as far as rubrics and that type of thing.
That's a potential. They could turn around and tell us that that's way too fast. So I say, let this be a potential date. If we can come up with a second date, then at least we have that. And then I can
Okay.
easily say,
Right.
we're going to call
So
that
I
meeting.
think, right, so April 6th is our first option. The 7th is NHS ceremony.
Well, we're already holding the 13th for a work session. Couldn't we convert that to interview session?
I think that's way too late.
Okay.
I
So
went
next
in
week. we've already established that we're not all available.
We're looking for an option in case people can't, in case the Miami County ESC can't do April 6th. So we don't want to go from April 6th to April 13th for a first interview. That's like a month.
Okay,
It's already a month past now, and their applications are already sitting in AppleTrack. So let's look at April 8th or April 9th.
Cannot do the 8th.
Okay,
And then negotiations is on the 9th, but
I know.
I have no problem.
I mean, it's
Oh, I
gonna be a
shouldn't
long
say.
day for us three, but
We'll get pizza and then we'll interview.
2 days.
Well, I can't eat pizza.
is everybody good for the 9th or no?
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
fine.
I can do the 9th.
Okay. Okay, we'll see what they can say. See what they say.
Is Ann still with us?
I don't know.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
No, yeah, your picture disappeared.
So the
Oh,
9th.
it's gone now?
It's still there. It's all me. I just have the wrong window up.
So how
Okay.
early can we start those? Since it's a Friday?
Oh,
Does it
4
have-
o'clock? Let's start at 4.
Is that, were you guys?
Well, that's when negotiations end.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at
Get
negotiations.
off till 4:30, so
Um,
we'll be here at 4:45.
I would say,
5?
5?
Yeah, that's fine.
Plus, I think another benefit of April the 9th, in the event that one of the candidates that we like is unable to make the April 6th, then we can pick that up on the 9th as well. I mean, if we have limited selection and we feel that someone is very interesting, and in the event, you know, that they've already scheduled an interview or such on April 6th. So I like that short time frame between the 6th and the 9th.
What time was it on the 6th then?
5 as well.
5.
But
And even, I mean, I don't know if anybody would be against this, but we could also, I mean, with timing constraints, if let's say the candidate can't make it here, we have a great screen for it that we could do
Yeah. that makes sense.
online. But I mean, that makes it a little harder to see how they are in person, but it's just a suggestion. I mean, with technology, I think we even interviewed somebody overseas once for a position and they got it, but we do what we have to do.
Okay, sorry, I'm sending this email right now to see what their availability is to help us at the ESC. Okay, so you're all clear on that, Ann? The dates?
yes, I have April 6th, 5 p.m., April 9th,
Yep.
5 p.m.
Yeah, and I'll reach out. I'm gonna send an email right now during this meeting so that we can, I'll let the whole board know which day that's gonna be. Okay. All right, back to the agenda. Sorry, I've got like 3 devices open here. I've got 3 devices open. Okay, doke. Is there, this might be a weird question, but since we're all here and we have our calendars out and we're scheduling, the 6th or the 9th is going to be, you know, like the first interview. Since April is so busy, do we want to go ahead and just pick a date for our second interview? That would be the second final interview.
13th.
Oh, yeah, that does make sense because it was already scheduled. Let's see here. Second.
And who knows, you could end up getting all the candidates.
Does
on that.
anybody mind if we change it to the 14th? That's the day after our originally planned work session?
Yeah, I can't do the Wednesday. Talked about that last meeting.
I prefer to do the 13th.
Okay. Okay, that's it. I might not be there, but that's fine. You guys can do it.
What about
No
you
problem.
attending virtually? Would that be an option?
You'd have the phone on.
I can try, sure. Like I said, as long as there's a quorum, I don't have to be there, so.
Because I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're okay.
If on the 6th, all of the candidates that we'd like to interview can be interviewed, the 9th would technically be second interviews. Right? Because
If ESC can do both those days in that same week, yeah, we'll just do it first back to
that would
back.
happen right there.
I would love that, yeah.
We don't necessarily need ESC here.
I
Oh, yeah, totally, right. Right, as long as they,
So to me, if candidates are available on the 6th and the 9th,
we'll just do it.
we just gotta take care of it.
I agree.
And it could end up being, you just have, the first interview just completely makes, it's complete sense on who you need. And then the 9th ends up being you bring them in and you negotiate
what it's gonna be,
You
right?
negotiate the salary with them.
And my concern, Teresa, is that I
Yeah.
think that we all need to be here, and I don't.
Yeah, I
want
agree.
to
I
not
know.
be
I
involved in the process.
understand, but we're kind of like, yeah.
I know, and I appreciate that you'd be flexible and give up your stake, but I mean, I think that we need to be here.
Yeah, I agree that that's best. You know, obviously the best thing. Okay. All righty.
So what is the conclusion on April 13th? What was decided?
Well, we already have a work session that day, so we're just gonna keep it.
Okay.
Schedule these a year in advance, and Simon can't make the 14th. So, you know, Simon
Okay.
can't one day, I can't make the other. It's already scheduled, so it stays. There's nothing to talk about. We're not gonna change it. That's why we schedule these a year in advance, because we all get so busy, you know?
Right.
So sadly, I didn't have my schedule in January. That's impacting my meeting schedule, so. Anyways, that happens. Okay, like I said, I just emailed the ESC. If he could, I'll follow up with everybody tomorrow to make sure what works. I'll also try to see, I'll try to filter some of those questions to him. I'll let him know that we have some sample questions. Dave, if I could get those from you, and I could just kind of maybe send them to him, see what he thinks.
I
Oh, go ahead.
respectfully, I think we give them all the questions we have, we let them, we don't
Those are
have you
the
filter,
questions.
we don't have
Yeah.
you filtering anything.
Well, I'm gonna send it to the ESC.
Filtering means you're
Oh,
Yeah.
filtering, I meant like send. I didn't mean
Forward-
pick and choose.
forwarding is different.
I didn't mean
Yeah.
filter.
Okay,
What I meant was if I could get those questions, I will scan that, or you can do it.
I have electronically.
Yeah.
Actually, I've already sent it to Mr. Stefanik.
Oh, perfect. Then we'll just send that to,
We'll just forward it to you and
Yeah.
you can go right on to the.
absolutely, yeah. And then he can forward the ones back to us, and then when we get together, all of us can discuss that. And I'll also see if he has a rubric. And I can also try to Google some and see if I can find something.
There's so many options to go down and discuss. There's plenty.
Yeah, well, it'll work. I think we're definitely we're on the right track. Okay. Is there anything else under new business? Ann, do you have anything else under new business?
We can't do anything.
Oh,
This
I
is
meant
a special
comments.
meeting. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
okay. So, item 3, miscellaneous, would be upcoming meetings.
Do we have to add those now? Should we wait?
We can, those are potential, so might as well just,
Yeah, let's just put them on, right? We just added April 6th and April 9th,
yeah.
and then I'll give the thing a few minutes to update. They're both at 5 o'clock, Dave, April 6th and April
You
9th.
can go ahead and read off the others.
Okay, sure. The next tri-agency meeting will take place on Monday, March 29th, 2021, at the Monroe Township Building, beginning at 6 p.m. The next work session meeting will take place on Tuesday, April 13th, 2021, at the Board of Education office, beginning at 5 p.m. The next regular board meeting will take place on Monday, April 26th, 2021, at the Board of Education office, beginning at 6 p.m. And then, Mr. Stefanik, were you able to find out about the tri-agency meeting?
Not yet.
Didn't hear back?
So I did
Okay.
not hear back yet.
Okay.
So that was the meeting where we wanted to know how many of us were allowed to attend, correct?
Yeah.
Right, right.
So I did talk with Mrs. Prawl on that meeting, and there has been opportunities for all the board members to go. They have had all of the city council members there.
Mhm.
It's a meeting where our representative would be Mr. Stefanik, that reports on the status of the district, and it is not an opportunity to discuss board business at that meeting. So as long as the sunshine open meetings rules are being followed and Mr. Stefanik is the only one talking, but everybody else is just, and you're just enjoying company of everybody.
Right.
All the board members are able to attend those meetings.
We've done that before. I know,
Right.
yeah,
And
I'm not saying all 5 of us, but we've
Yes.
definitely had more than.
So I apologize for me saying that,
It's okay.
but that there is always an opportunity or a chance that a meeting, a get together could turn into a meeting if the board members do not follow the rules and end up accidentally breaking sunshine rules laws. So
Because we just can't we can't discuss something,
correct.
And it's
like,
like,
Discuss business.
You can't
Right,
discuss
like-
business.
Yeah.
but we can all be in the same space. We just can't say, hey, what did you think about
Yeah.
the treasurer's search?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
You
And we
just
never
talk
do.
about what you just talk about whatever is going on at that particular meeting and not about school district business.
yeah, it's usually just committee reports from, the various, and then we all just kind of leave. It's never anything.
I'm unable to come to the Monday meeting, so.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not
less you have to worry
going to.
about. Okay.
And if I'm not gonna be there, then three
We all
can.
can go together.
Yeah.
3 is enough to violate open meeting.
Oh, it is,
Yeah.
okay. I would like to motion that we revisit the admission of students on a tuition basis,
Okay, what was that? A?
under new business.
Okay, 2A. And, go ahead. What's your question?
Well, I motion that we revisit it.
Oh, okay, it's motion. I'll make the second. Motion and second. Sorry, didn't understand. Mrs. Dahl and Mrs. Dunaway. So now I can ask you, sorry about that. Is there any discussion? So yes.
Yes, when the initial vote went around, I was distracted by a text from my daughter on my wrist, and I said yes when I meant to say no. And I'd like to move that we re-vote on that.
Okay.
A second.
Well, we already had a motion and a second. Thank you, Anne.
Well, she's moving though to revote I thought her
Okay.
first one was to discuss.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. So motion and seconded by Mrs. Dahl and Mrs. Zakor.
Let me make sure that this
Yeah,
is,
this seems a little hanky. We better check it out.
Absolutely.
Everything's okay. You can. You have to
Totally,
leave.
no, it was not
Okay.
important at
So
all.
you have to leave, please. Leave. Family comes first.
It was not.
It's my understanding from Robert's rules that if you're rescinding your vote,
You
it
have
has to be initiated by,
majority party.
no,
Correct.
by, yes, one of the prevailing members of that party. And
Yes.
then as long as some action hasn't already been taken that would interfere with that, which clearly it hasn't because it's still tonight, but
Yeah, this has only happened one other time, but yeah, it has to be a member of the majority party, correct? Let's just give Dave a few minutes to whatever, and then let me see if I can get this to emails.
do I have time for a little restroom break?
Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Mr. Stefanik,
Yes.
do you have those questions? If you can send those to me, then I'll send the whole thing to Miami County at the same time.
Yes.
Thank you, that'd be great. And then I will email the entire board tomorrow when I get back. Hang on one second, we have a potty break, so wait and then give the, give the.
let's give me a
the-
chance to type.
Go ahead.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Stevens. What was the verdict?
Okay, so because Mrs. Dahl was in the majority of the vote, Mrs. Carroll has indicated that Mrs. Dahl can motion to revisit that topic,
Okay,
and there can be a revote. So
so Mrs. Dahl made the motion and then Mrs. Zakor seconded.
now Mrs. Dahl moved to revisit the admission of students on a tuition basis.
And then I seconded,
You seconded the motion, and then Mrs. Dahl, what did you say?
asked for a revote, and then Mrs. Zakor was the second on that one.
I believe, Fred, I mean, we're doing a first and seconds, and we haven't voted. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if we need to vote or not, but as in opening it back up.
Well, there's a motion right now to revote from Mrs. Dahl and Mrs. Zakor.
I think that would only allow a vote and then we'd have to vote again.
Yeah, right.
But do
There's two votes, I think. Because the first vote would be on, do we even have a vote?
Hey, Helen. I didn't hang up from her. Give me one moment.
Go ahead.
I apologize.
No, it's all right.
You read first.
Should have them.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna send it right now. Yep, I have it. I have 2 messages. Thank you. I'm sure most of the questions are very similar. You know what I mean? I bet they probably have almost the identical ones or very close. What a weird, I think it's like a weird night with the rain. It just seems like everything's a little off. And Dave, where did you get were these the questions that you got when you came here?
Some of them are, yes.
Oh, and you said that some are from your one that you just
Some
did.
are
Okay.
from, some are me.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all back, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead, Dave.
We do need to take 3 votes. The first one is the first motion was Mrs. Dahl going back into the item.
Okay,
So we have to vote on that.
gotcha.
And then we have to vote to revote,
Okay,
as in, can we revote?
sure,
That's the second item.
Gotcha.
And then the third,
The
just to be
actual vote.
safe, is the actual vote.
okay, gotcha. So do you want to call for all 3 of those in order?
Yes, so currently we have a motion to revisit the admission of students on a tuition basis issue. That was Mrs. Dahl and Mrs. Dunaway.
Okay,
So for the vote, Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway,
yes.
Heatherly,
No.
Patry,
No.
Decor,
Yes.
That motion carries.
Okay. The second vote is move to have a revote on the issue of tuition admission of tuition students. Okay, with Mrs. Zakor as a second. So on the vote, Dahl,
Yes.
Zakor,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes,
Heatherly,
No,
Patrick.
No.
motion carries.
And now we have
The actual vote.
the actual vote.
Can I say really quick before we
Yes,
vote
okay.
that, I just want to say that there's probably people that were really like hopeful when that passed, and I want to acknowledge that, there's people that are disappointed now, and I'm sorry that I was distracted. I wouldn't ever vote yes for something that implicitly gives privilege to somebody for their ability to pay where other people would miss out on an opportunity. And that's my biggest problem with tuition based, is that it means you have means that other people don't. And I'm sorry for people that were hopeful and now have that taken away from them.
did we even have a motion for this discussion, for this third part? No,
We originally did.
no, we didn't.
To vote on it again, we're reopening the issue. She can.
Yes.
No one made a motion to reopen it. You said there'd be 3 votes.
We did, we had
We
three.
did.
Okay,
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We had,
We had 3 votes.
okay, so the first 2 are done.
right, the first
So
two is
now
to go
we need a mo-
back.
Now we need a motion to open this to
We did.
discussion and then vote.
We did. We had one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got it down. Where
Yeah,
did
it was
go?
Mrs. Dahl and
I
Mrs.
think we were
Zakor.
layering the motions and we just hadn't voted on any of them before.
Correct.
So
It was Dahl and Zakor. So now we should be in the discussion phase, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I could be wrong, but let's, Mrs. Dahl, you motioned to have the vote on the approval of admission of students on a tuition basis for the 2021-22 school year.
That
Correct.
should be the last thing.
Yes, and then Mrs. Zakor seconded.
Mrs. Zakor, you second, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
And so
And
now
now open the
we
discussion.
open the floor for discussion. So Mrs. Dahl made a discussion point. Do you have more? Okay, is there anybody else that has a discussion point on this
I-
item? Go ahead.
That was my rationale for voting no the first time around, is simply because I think it's difficult for any student who desires to come here but is not able to do that, but especially if the decision rests solely on a monetary issue. I just feel that that's not the right message to send. That one is allowed entry, another is not, and the deciding factor is money.
right, but I can remember that, well, that's why I am also for open enrollment. But I'm thinking back to Corinne's comments about access. We have had people who have come to this district because the districts where they live do not offer the educational opportunities in that district. So to say that you're for access and accessibility of all folks to get the education that they desire, I think that's doublespeak. If we are an inclusive and inviting community, I think that we should have open enrollment and tuition.
Well,
Or we could get rid of the contiguous part and just be open enrollment. And that casts an even wider net.
right, like,
Madam President, if I may, this is a motion about tuition. And I just did some reviewing of parliamentary procedure. And from what I read, which I'll be sending all this to you soon, is that the discussion is open up to the topic that's being motioned only and not as a generalized, broader subject matter.
I think her discussion points relate to this at hand, and I don't think that that was inappropriate to
Well,
discuss.
her discussion point on open enrollment, and we're discussing tuition students.
Well, they overlap, they dovetail each other, and so.
But that's not part of the motion, Mr. Patry. The motion is about tuition students, and I'd like our meeting to stay on track.
So I have some discussion points, and I appreciate not being interrupted. Tuition students are students that have their tuition paid. The reality of our country is we are a capitalistic country. We are a free market. We work for what we have, and then we earn and we work hard. The message we're sending is people who work have some money, and if they have money, they can do things with it. And I'm not necessarily upset about a student who comes here through tuition because the parents have money to pay for them to go to school. I have no problem with bringing a child here that comes to school here who that child and their parents value education. And so we all pay money here and there. It's either through taxes or a tuition. And I think that's perfectly appropriate. And if that's an issue, the answer lies in open enrollment, not on the tuition side. And so for that reason, I'm in favor of tuition.
Are you finished? Okay, thank you, Simon. I also agree with Mrs. Dahl. I'm not going to reiterate your point. I agree with you, but I will add to it. I think that when you have no open enrollment, but then you have the tuition, I think the waters can get muddied. And then there becomes a lot of gray area. And I just like to keep it simple. It's black and white. If you live here, you can come here. There's no open enrollment. And in correlation, there's no tuition. And I also don't like the idea of saying, oh, okay, well, you can afford the tuition so you can come here. But this, this other student, they really want to come here, but their family can't afford the tuition. So the answer is no. I don't like that. I feel like it has to be the same for everybody. So, Dave, I think we're ready for the vote.
Madam President, may I interject one more comment?
Absolutely.
I know people that work extremely hard, that sometimes work 2 and 3 jobs at minimum wage. It is not always a question of hard work. It is a question of compensation for that work. And therefore, I don't think even at 3 jobs, and I know a single mother doing this, to say, wow, if you work hard enough, you can come up with the money to pay the tuition that another family, 2 income, it doesn't seem to me to be an equitable argument. And I would like to feel that the determinants do not rest solely on a financial status. And by the way, this is a public institution. And unlike post-secondary education, where you all have that expectation of paying college, et cetera, I think this is a little different circumstances. I thank you, I'm done.
Is there anything else before we vote? We're ready for the vote, Dave.
Dahl,
No.
Zakor,
No.
Dunaway,
No.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Motion fails. Okay. Item 4, executive session. Adjourn to executive session for purposes authorized under Board of Education Policy 0166 and ORC 121.22G1 and 4 to prepare for negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and to consider the employment of a public employee or official. The second item is to consider the employment of a public employee or official. And the board would like to invite into these executive session is Mr. Stevens, Mr. Stefanik, and Mrs. Carroll. And we do not anticipate any action.
Need a first and a second.
Oh, sorry, I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded by Mrs. Dahl and Mrs. Dunaway made the motion, Mrs. Dahl second.
Okay. Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Zakor.
Yes,
Motion carries. Is there anybody in the building? Can you shut the door? Or are we okay?
uh-oh, I got muted out. Dave Stevens. I don't have access to executive session.
Thank
We
you.
are back,
We are back in executive session. It is 10.
regular session.
Oh, sorry. We are back in regular session. It is 10 after 10, and I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
All motion?
Second,
Motion and second, Mrs. Dowell and Mr. Patry. Can we get a vote?
Dahl,
Yes.
Patry,
yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
McClure.
Thank you. You're on the lead.
Meeting adjourned at 10:07.